Okay, the fluids have been checked.
Yep.
We're in the car.
Yes, we are.
Have the keys
Okay.
in the ignition.
Yep.
It's time to fire this podcast up.
Let's do it. 404-barrel lean burn fires up for another podcast. Welcome, everybody. Uniting all generations and types of Mopar fans, lovers, and enthusiasts everywhere. From Walter P. Chrysler to today's Mopar and beyond. This is episode number 10. That's right, number 10 of the WaltPar Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm your host, Scott Gresser, Mopar since 1960. Always grateful that you can join me here. Take nothing for granted. Thank you for joining me here on the WaltPar Podcast. My email address is waltparpodcast@aol.com, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, or if you want to do X and Threads. And we are also on YouTube and Rumble, as well as all the other podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Pocket Casts. We're on a bunch of them, so search and find them, and we should be right there. You can find us there as well as on YouTube and Rumble now. Search WaltPar. And on Facebook, X, and Twitter, and Threads, and Instagram, search WaltPar Podcast. Episode number 10. I remember how I procrastinated getting this podcast started, worrying about this, worrying about that. But I came through, and I got it to work. Still waiting for any suggestions that you have at WaltParPodcast@AOL. Little reacquaintance. My name is Scott Gresser. I was born and raised in Worcester, Ohio, since the first episode. My handle on my enthusiast pages is Mopar since 1960. It all started when I was a Mopar fan in 1960. When I was 6 years old, my dad taught me how to check the oil in the 1960 Dodge Seneca with a slant 6. And then as time went on, in 1984, that's right, coming up 40 years ago was when I went to my first Mopar Nationals, and that's when I considered myself a Mopar enthusiast. And it's been going on ever since, and the learning never stops. So thank you so much for your support. Episode number 10 is on the way. Just got done with the swap meet for the club I belong to, the Mid-Ohio Mopars. And one of the things I wanted to mention was the fact that generations and the attitudes they have changes all through the years. And this is true here. I retired when I did at age 69. I felt at the time that with the younger generation coming in, you don't want to hold them back, number one. Number two, they have different ideas. It's how they were raised, just like we were raised. My generation was raised with different ideas than the generation beforehand. And so there's things that are changing. You know, we've done this swap meet almost since the existence of the club 33 years ago. I think it might have been the next year we had a swap meet after we did our first show. But we've done the swap meet for quite a few years, had it in different places, of course, like we have our shows. But we learned some things, and there's some attitudes that are changing, of course. Not that it's bad, it's just the way it is. So I wrote a little something since I'm the social media director of Mid-Ohio Mopars. I did a thing about what I call the facts about the Mid-Ohio Mopar swap meets. This could also probably be true with any swap meet that anybody decides to put on. All these other clubs who may have shows this year, and you've heard me mention them, they not only have a car show, they also have a swap meet. All Mopar swap meets, so you can find parts while you're looking at all the great cars. So I wanted to get these things out of the way. I put it on a Facebook post after the fact because we're getting questions now like we never, ever did before. Questions we had to answer, either over the phone or if they write to me on Facebook or X or whatever, and I answer them back. So I just want to I thought I'd start off the show with the podcast with this, and just to let you know some facts about the Mid-Ohio Mopar swap meets, and it's probably true with other swap meets as well. We get people, we didn't get any this year, but last year we had a couple people ask, how many vendors will be there? Well, the answer to that is we don't have any idea. Now, why is that? Number one, you can have a whole large number of vendors pay in advance for a space or spaces to come to the swap meet. Pick your number, 10, 100, 1,000, it doesn't matter. All those people could pay, but is there a guarantee they will come or show up? No. So we could say, well, we got 100 spaces reserved. And you come up, there's only 2 show up because they decided not to come for whatever reason. Now, on the other side of this, you can only have a few vendors pay the event holder for the spaces in advance. And you could say, well, we only got 2 or 3 showing up. But the thing is this, we also have people who show up the day of the show wanting a space. So you could probably have 2 or 3 pay in advance, but you could have another 50 or whatever number you want to throw out there show up that day wanting a space. So what do we tell people? Well, we only got 2 or 3 reserved? No. So you basically have to come and see what we have. And it always varies every year. I know you can look online for your stores to see what people have, but there's no guarantee that it would be there once you get there because they might have an inventory off. So we can't tell you in advance how many we're supposed to have. We just can't do that. You're just going to have to show up and see who's there. Had one person tell me or say on Facebook, and it was the truth, that they drove a very long distance only to find out that they were there only 10 minutes. We have the swap meet on Fridays and Saturdays on one weekend in the springtime. We used to have it Saturdays and Sundays, but the last few Sundays we've had, absolutely hardly anyone shows up. And so to have people waiting there and the vendors there, they decide to pack up and go. I'll get into that in a little bit later. So she said, this was on a Friday morning she came down. The thing about a lot of these vendors is this is not their only job. This is not their living. A lot of this is extra money for them, either extra money or money they need to survive. But this is not their true job, so a lot of these vendors were working Friday. But a lot of them, we had a few more come in on Saturday because they were off on Saturday, as well as the ones who are already off on Friday. So it's always a toss-up, who's going to show up and who's not. Now, the second thing we've had people ask is we went to the swap meet and we couldn't find what we're looking for. Or we have other questions like, what's going to be there? What are these people going to have? Well, the answer is you may not find what you're looking for. The vendor is not required to send us, the event holder, an inventory of what they're bringing. The vendor who rents the space or spaces decides what they want to bring to sell. When you go to a flea market, do their vendors provide you with an inventory of what they have as you enter the sales area? No, you walk around, you find out what they have. If they have something you like, fine. If not, fine. But here's another way of looking at it. Sometimes you may come and find what you need. There's going to be other times you do not. But you have to remember, these people may have business cards or contact phone numbers that you can call, because if you don't see it there, ask them. And when you ask them, they might be able to tell you they have something back home that they could look up and then let you know. Maybe even take a picture of it with their phone when they get back so you can see the condition of it, because you can't see it right there in front of you. So keep that in mind. It may not be there, but still come, find out who these vendors are, see if they might be helping you with your part. They might have something left over at the house that they did not bring. Now, number 3, you advertised your event would go to a certain time. And when we got to the event a few hours before the ending time, there was hardly anyone there. As far as the Mid-Ohio Mopar's swap meet goes, we have no signed contracts, no obligations or anything else. When a vendor rents a space, the vendor has the freedom to do with what they want with the space or spaces. There's no contracts, like I said, to be signed. There's no obligation the vendor or event holder even has to be there or abide by it. So if things get slow, which at our swap meet, Saturday mornings are very busy, and they really taper off in the afternoon. People wake up in the morning, check out the parts. They go back home, probably have to mow their lawn, housework, other kids' activities. So normally about noon, 1 o'clock, it really dies off fast. And we stay till 4 o'clock. But the others, they start packing up, especially if they don't see anybody, and they can just get themselves back home and start unpacking their trailers or the back of their vans or their pickups. So that's why it could vary. Other places may be obligated. We don't have that. It depends on how the swap meet is run. It's not organized or disorganized. It's just how they do it. So keep those things in mind when you're thinking about a swap meet. There's some questions that there's no way you can answer. The only way you're going to find out is if you come to the swap meet yourself and find out and at least get some contact information, because maybe a lot of these people don't advertise online like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or anything like that. It's very hard for them, as you can see what they have in their space, to describe what they have and put it into an ad. So if you can just get their phone number, email address, however you want to do it, and get that information, and they might be able to help you after all. So just want to let you know about that, and keep that in mind when you go to a swap meet. There's going to be questions that are not going to be answered till you get there. Now, let's get the latest news regarding the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram brands worldwide. Well, guess what? More layoffs have happened again. Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, and David Zatz of Stellpower, with reporting from Automotive News, report another 199 employees were given layoff notices, this time from the Sterling Heights manufacturing facility in the Detroit area. And speaking of layoffs, do you remember that Stellantis laid off 400 engineers and office staff from their Auburn Hills office? I've heard this in several sources. I didn't mark this down. I saw this from Car Scoops to make sure. And others did report that Stellantis will be hiring replacement for those laid off engineers. But this time, they're not going to be from America. They will be from Brazil, India, and Morocco. The reason is they can be hired for an average of $53,000 per year, as compared to between $100,000 and $200,000 in the USA. And of course, on top of that, it is to keep prices down, especially as electrification keeps growing. And those cars are not cheap. I have my reasons about BYD coming here and why their cars are so much cheaper, but I don't have the proof. So I can't go on and tell you why they're so much cheaper than the others. I have my ideas, but I don't have the proof, and I have to have the proof so you have something to go back to as I report on these stories. Now, here's a good one for you. Direct Connection has added something new to their online catalog: funny car bodies. Robert S. Miller of Mopar Insiders reports the same Dodge Charger funny car body that has been used in NHRA competition is now available to the public. The price? $42,995. I don't know if that includes shipping or not. Probably not. But that is the advertised price. It could always change to wherever you go, wherever they sell them. But the advertised price is $42,995. Now, while Mr. Miller provides a lot of information, you can find out more at dcperformance.com. There's so much to report in this, but Robert S. Miller of Mopar Insiders has written 2 articles at moparinsiders.com that break down all the production numbers of the Challenger SRT Demon 170. Colors, options, all that good stuff. All broke down in nice graphs that you could see and lay out for you to look at. So make sure you check out at moparinsiders.com his 2 articles on the Challenger SRT Demon 170. A lot of reporting from a lot of sources on this. Joel Stocksdale of Autoblog, Robert S. Miller of Mopar Insiders, and the Beard Patrick Rawl of Stellpower, and more, all report on 3 new models that are coming to the 2025 Ram 1500 model lineup. The Warlock will be back again, and the Rebel X is being produced on top of the Ram Rebel. The Rebel X is being produced to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Ram Rebel. Now, the big news is the Ram 1500 RHO. Now, with a few differences, it's basically a Ram 1500 TRX, but with a high-output Hurricane 3-liter 6-cylinder engine instead of the 6.2-liter Hellcat Hemi engine. Multiple articles were written on each by Mr. Stocksdale, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Rawl on the new models. Plus, Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, reports that he found some spy shots of the 2025 Ram Rebel, and he also has found other spy shots of a Ram 2500 Bighorn, or not the 2500, but a Ram Heavy Duty Dually that he had some spy shots. You can go to moparinsiders.com to view those pictures, and on top of that, with the Ram 1500 news, there have been teasers out there by Ram and being reported by Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, Jonathan Ramsey of Autoblog, that something more powerful than the RHO will be coming out. Now, Patrick Rawl believes this as well. He's from Stellpower. Patrick thinks it won't be coming out anytime soon, so just don't think it's going to come out so quick, but they are working on it, so be patient. We'll see what happens. You know, there's a new voice that's going to be used for Ram advertising. Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, reports actor Glenn Powell has been chosen for the job. His voice has already been used in the videos premiering the new 2025 Ram models. The partnership Dodge Europe has with the World Superbike Championship has been a public relations win so far. Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, reports their last stop was at the Assen TT circuit, known as the Cathedral of Speed in the Netherlands. And speaking of partnerships with motorcycles, Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, reports Ram Brazil is in a partnership with Yamaha Brazil, providing Ram Rampage compact trucks as support vehicles. The Ram Classic 1500, or Ram 1500 Classic, which is the DS body, in Canada will be no more. They're not going to be producing any more new ones for Canada. David Zatz of Stellpower and Chris Teague of Autoblog report the Ram 1500 Classic will no longer be sold in Canada. There are still some in dealer lots. Now, this came out a couple days later, but Robert S. Miller of Mopar Insiders reports that due to higher interest rates and higher prices on the vehicles, these trucks in some cases are not the bargains they used to be. This is on top of the DT 1500, which is the current style. This is the classic style they still make. But in Canada, with the higher interest rates and higher prices, inventory has been piling up at the Canadian dealerships, and those vehicles, because of their higher prices and everything, they are getting harder to sell compared to the newer style DT bodies. Now, the Ram 1500 Classic is still being made and is still sold in the U.S. and Mexican markets. As reported in episode 9 of the WaltPar Podcast, Jeep Brazil will be introducing new Blackhawk models. And Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, reports the new Jeep Commander Blackhawk has been introduced to the Brazilian public. While the 2025 Grand Cherokee will be getting a slight refresh, Jared B. of Mopar Insiders reports the 2025 Grand Cherokee and Grand Cherokee L will be getting a revamped engine lineup. For 2025, the Grand Cherokee will be powered with a 4xe PHEV engine or a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. And the Grand Cherokee L will only be powered by that 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Time will tell if we get any 6-cylinders or Hurricanes in them, but that's the rumor and the report so far from Jared B. of Mopar Insiders. In Mexico, Ram Trucks Mexico will be in a partnership with Ram Bikes. Ram Bikes is independent from Stellantis, but Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders reports both products will be used together in promotions for both companies. The Pacifica has been and still is the most awarded minivan 7 years running. And to show appreciation, Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders reports Chrysler will be kicking off a new Thanking Our Parents marketing campaign. Although this was reported by others in episode number 9 of the WaltPar Podcast, Jonathan Ramsey of Autoblog has also written an article on the Dodge Complete Performance Vehicle Protection Package from Mopar Vehicle Protection Plans. There are several conflicting reports coming out that Jeep may be adding an internal combustion engine of some type to what was supposed to be the all-electric Jeep Recon and Jeep Wagoneer S. Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders reported one article on his own and one with the help of Ward's Automotive. And Jonathan Ramsey of Autoblog also wrote an article on this. We'll have to wait and see what happens because we're hearing back and forth I'm reading stuff back and forth on this. So they're thinking on putting internal combustion engines in them. The rumors are out there. There's nothing confirmed. The Recon, if you don't know what it is, it's basically an electrified unibody type Wrangler vehicle. You know, the Wranglers are body on frame and off-roading. The Recon is supposed to be the same deal, but it is a body on frame. Originally it's supposed to come out as a full electric vehicle, and of course the Jeep Wagoneer S as well. Now, in his weekly All Makes Recall report for the week of April 29th, 2024, David Zatz of Stellpower found 2 minor recalls, and Robert S. of Mopar Insiders also reports on the first one. And it involves just 10 2022 through 2024 Grand Cherokee and Grand Cherokee L's due to loose connections with the rear camera system. And the second one involves just 2 2021 ProMaster vans where the stability control module may not work. David Zatz of Stellpower and Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders report the United Auto Workers Union employees who work at the Stellantis Warren stamping plant north of Detroit will be voting on Monday, May 6th, if the workers want to strike due to unresolved health and safety issues. Now, here's something that could make or break your day. There are still some 6.4-liter 392 performance Hemis out there, but there will be no new ones to be built. David Zatz of Stellpower reports some of them will be installed in some Wrangler 392s, and Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders reports the rest will be put in Durango SRT 392 ALC Hemi models. And if you want one of those Durango SRT 392 ALC Hemis, they start at $89,795, excluding destination. You have to add destination charges on top of that. Only $90,000 for a Durango. Get your checkbooks out. Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders reports Stellantis in Brazil will be reinvesting $13 billion Brazilian dollars in their Goiânia plant. Goiânia plant currently assembles Jeep Commander, Jeep Compass, Jeep Renegade, Fiat Toros, and the compact Ram Rampage pickup truck that is sold in Brazil. And I think Argentina as well. It's strictly a South American vehicle. Sharp-looking little thing. Now, I reported to you in episode 9 of the WaltPar Podcast that Jeep is bringing back the Tuscadero pink color to the Wrangler. And now David Zatz of Stellpower, Ronan Glahn of Autoblog, and Robert S. Miller Mopar Insiders report the color will now be available at extra cost like it is on the Wrangler, but it will also be available on the Gladiator. But please remember, the color will only be available until the end of the 2024 model year. And finally in the news, Robert S. Miller of Mopar Insiders reports Jeep will be going global with their Famous for Freedom advertising campaign. The campaign will be going to markets such as China, Japan, Korea, Australia, and others. Now remember, you can find the full links of these stories and more at autoblog.com, moparinsiders.com, and stellpower.com. So So that's where you can find articles for that. On the feature program, part of the podcast today, I'm going to be introducing you to Ohio's newest Mopar Club. I waited till now to put it on because cruising is starting. This club is all about the drive. They've done a lot of homework, organizing, finding out, making sure they could use the Mopar name in their title, the club name. And they did an awful lot of homework, and it was a great interview. I did this back, I think it might have been prior to Christmas time. No, it was after Christmas. It was still in January when I did it, when I had dinner with this great club. The club is called the Ohio Mopar Group. And I waited till now because, like I said, it's time to start driving the cars. The salt's finally getting washed off the road up here. And it would be a good time, if you ever thought of maybe starting a club, this is an interview for you because it gives you some great ideas, what to look forward to, what to do to get the ball rolling, and the obstacles you may come up with. This would be a great idea to listen to this podcast, and you get an idea to start your own club if you want. As you know, I do highlight a lot of the clubs and the shows they do in the event calendar, which we will be doing again towards the end of the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to introduce you to, and you'll hear the names again, the founders of the Ohio Mopar Group, Ron Cook, Mopar, Mike McMath, and Doug Semon, as we find out the beginnings of the Ohio Mopar Group. This time on the WaltPar Podcast, get prepared here. This time on the WaltPar Podcast on the Mopar Car Club Spotlight, I'm here with the Ohio Mopar Group, and we're here in Wadsworth, Ohio. They had a nice meeting in January with their fellow club members, and they had a very good turnout. So I thought while the three were here together, we'd have an interview and talk about the Ohio Mopar Group. And tonight I'm with Doug Semon, Ron Cook, and Mopar Mike McMath, all founders of the Ohio Mopar Group. And I appreciate the three of you being here tonight to do this interview. So I always start out with the Car Club Spotlights with the question, before you even thought about starting the group, what were some of the things going on that made you just start thinking of wanting to start a Mopar club? And anyone can go at any time.
Well, we were originally thinking we were looking for something less structured than a full-fledged car club, but more structured than the internet clubs that we had found so far. We wanted to be able to go do cruises and shows as a club, have brunches or dinners, just get-togethers and hear ideas from other members on what they would like to see the group do. Something that we can enjoy when we have time, when time permits. It's not something that you have to do because you're a full-fledged member of a car club and this is happening this weekend. You do it when you have time. And we wanted to be family-focused to include children, because if we don't get the children involved, there will be no car enthusiast in the future. And that was my thought process. Now Doug's going to tell you his thought process.
Go right ahead, Mr. Doug.
And just to expand upon what Ron said, wanted something that was not a lot of drama in it, very open-ended and loose. The fun factor. We enjoyed going to car shows and car events on our own. And, when you're at the event, you see people with products that are like yours, cars that are like yours. You get to talking with them and you develop a bond, a common interest bond. And it was just the idea of hanging out with like-minded people in a nice, fun family setting. Not a whole lot of rigid commitments to it. It's what you make of it. I mean, if you wanted to devote every weekend to going, God bless you. If, you could only do one weekend, every 2 months and you wanted to get with somebody to enjoy, the atmosphere, it was just that idea of coming together with like-minded people revolving around this one certain product, and that product was the Mopar brand. Be it old, new, somewhere in between, it was the idea that, first and foremost, we came together because we had a common share in the brand name itself. And after that, it's just, developing friendships.
Anything you want to say, Mike?
Yeah. The groups and stuff that we've encountered over the last several years and stuff, they've always been missing something. And each one in itself had this thing, but none of them embodied the beliefs that we had together in one group. So we kind of took bits and pieces of all the groups that there are out there and molded them into the one group that we now know as the Ohio Mopar Group.
There you go. So, all right, I keep using that word so. I got to quit doing that. So, all right, now you've been finding out, piecing things together, and what was the first move that any of you made?
We, the three of us, and actually there was a fourth individual that once we started putting this all together, they've just dropped clear out. So the three of us sat down and said, hey, let's see if we can't put something together. And we sat down and talked and came up with ideas and, had a bunch of people sit around the table and drink coffee and throw out ideas and come up with the car club that we now have. And from there it went to getting approval from Chrysler, which took forever because of COVID apocalypse. People weren't working in the office as much as they should have been. So it took about 18 months of emails back and forth getting approval from Chrysler to be able to use the Mopar name, to use the Pentastar, and to be an officially authorized car club from Chrysler. And that came about in September of 2022.
So now the question I have for other car clubs in the future, since you brought that up, is how did you get started doing that to make sure you can authorize to use a Pentastar in the Mopar name? What did it take for you to start this? How'd you find out how to do it and things like that? And I'm asking this so other car clubs can get their ball rolling too, because you just can't mention Mopar in your club name without having permission from Stellantis.
Correct.
So who did you first get in touch with, or how did you find out who to get in touch with to get the ball rolling?
I emailed Chrysler's customer service, told them what we wanted to do, and a gentleman from customer service emailed me back with a link to Chrysler's website saying this is the steps you have to go through to become an authorized car club through Chrysler. Back then it was FCA Chrysler. And if you wanted to sell products for your club through Chrysler, with Chrysler's stuff on it, there was a whole different ball of wax you had to go through. Well, we want to be a not-for-profit organization, so I just did the paperwork, which meant writing a letter, explaining we had to design a logo, which was the first thing. We had 12 designs for a logo, put it before all the people that were coming to the get-togethers, because we didn't call them meetings, they were just gatherings. We showed them all the 12 designs, they voted on it, we came up with the one we're on now. Sent that along with an explanation of why we had that logo, and we had to explain the colors, the design, where it came from, the whole thing. And sent that off to Chrysler. Like I said, it took about 18 months. Back and forth with the lady from Chrysler, and they made us take away the Omega M because that is still in use through FCA Chrysler, so we're not allowed to use that. We had to use a block M. Everything else was good to go. Oh, we had to take away, we were using plural Mopars. We had to do away with the plural Mopars and just make it Mopar. And they finally approved it. She had to approve it first. Then it had to go to the Chrysler attorneys. They approved it, and then she typed up the letter and sent it back to us with official approval.
So was there anything the three of you did in the meantime, because you really couldn't get the club rolling until after this approval,
what were some of the things you were doing in the meantime in those 18 months? Was there anything you could do, or were you pretty much on hold?
We couldn't use the name.
Okay.
Mopar Mike was letting us use his facility in Medina to have our monthly gatherings.
So we could kind of talk and brainstorm about ideas that we had and how we wanted the logo to look. We took a lot of different input from several different people.
And it was developing, the relationships with people who, we thought would maybe be interested in being part of this group at the early onset. So, I mean, and like any group, a group survives no matter what background it is on its memberships. I mean, if you don't have decent members, your group will not survive, the test of time. It won't grow either. So, a lot of downtime waiting for Chrysler to come back, which gave a lot of time to do some recruiting. And that was nothing more than going to different shows and venues and pretty much hanging out with people who appreciated the same brand product that we appreciated.
And we were not using the OMG, Ohio Mopar Group name or logo at that time. Because if you do and Chrysler finds out, they will not approve you and you can't never use it.
Yeah, so we could still tell people that, hey, we're thinking about doing this club, and what are your ideas? Would you be interested in it? Hey, we're going to go hang out on this day at my place, and do you want to come and hang out and BS and drink some coffee? And we just kind of did it that way, just very nonchalant, kind of just relaxed. It basically evolved itself for a little while.
Okay, so I go again. When you got the club going with the Mopar Group and you got the name approved, what were some of the first steps to get the ball rolling for membership?
Advertisement of the group and recruiting. But it was nothing more. The vehicle was always there to get people interested. I mean, people were already interested in the Chrysler Mopar brand for the simple fact that they maybe owned it. And it was nothing more than developing relationships using that brand as the common source, and then leading up to, hey, there's a group of us that have this group together, that we get together, we go to these shows and these events. Is that something that you're interested in? When the approval came through, now we have an actual logo, we have an emblem, we have an insignia that can be related to. It's something tangible. At that point, it was nothing more than making sure that that logo then got broadcast at all the venues we went to. And one of the easiest ways to do that was through just having business cards to pass out. Hey, this is our group. If you're interested, check the group out on Facebook, or look for us at the next show or what have you. I mean, like any organization, it started very small, and then, it took off exponentially. But most of it is by word of mouth, and it's nothing more than personal relationships.
So, all right, so you have the cards. Was it an idea in a meeting, or it was Doug's idea?
It's, any venture that wants to get the word out as to what they do or who they are, they advertise. Well, obviously, we can't afford a billboard. But, business cards were a good, I think at the time, good $32 investment for maybe 500 cards. $32, if it didn't work out, okay, no big deal. I mean, that's money that's been probably wasted in a pop machine over the course of time, or a candy bar machine. But if it took off, it's something that was a good investment.
We decided on a Facebook page. Once we got our approval, we put the Facebook page up, and then we linked the cards to the Facebook page. So it's just kind of grown from there. And then word of mouth. And, Mike's, when he had his business in Medina, it was great because a lot of Mopar guys went to Mike there, and he was putting the word out.
Yeah, I was trying to encourage people to join, but it's always been one person tells another person, tells another person, tells another person. the advertising has been really low. They might see a few of us together at a car show. Hey, what car club are you guys with? I've heard the question asked a couple times. We didn't really have flags and banners and trophies and all kinds of things flying around to go with these. So we just talked to the people. And when you talk to the people, they like what we like and they want to join. And other members encourage other members to join. So it works really well that way. And with Facebook, a lot of people just share it. It's probably 20% of people sharing it, and then the rest is someone knows someone that's already in it, and hey, this is where we're at, and come join us.
How many people joined initially?
We had 8 or 10 at your shop
Yeah.
initially.
The very first
The
first meeting.
the
Well,
first 3 or 4
first
meetings.
get
Three
together.
or four to get together, yeah.
I don't think there was more than a dozen
Yeah.
at any given time.
And then the ball started rolling from there. Can you give me a percentage of, like you said, you shared with the business cards, people to people, and social media. What's the ratio of that so far? Do you think? You may not be able to answer that.
Like what generated the most interest in the group, or what form did we use that garnered the most members? I don't think there's a way that you can actually put a number on it.
Okay,
Social media has been the big thing.
okay.
We've got tremendous amount of response on there, and out of that, we've gotten more personal responses. And I would have to say we have more personal responses from the social media than the face-to-face, the business cards. The business cards are doing great. They're getting people's attention. But you can only give business cards to people that you see or put them on their cars. Social media, all they do is click on a button and they found us. So I think social media is probably the big thing, but the face-to-face and the business cards are still what we would prefer to do. But
The business cards, I think, are piquing people's interest. I mean, if you drop a business card on someone's car, obviously you took notice of it for whatever reason. Them seeing that tells them that, hey, someone was looking at my car and complimented me on my car. And with that interest being piqued, they then take the next step on their own and go to the Facebook page. And then they can see what 18 months or 20 months now coming up has evolved into.
With the Facebook page, we tend to do things a little bit different. Facebook has certain algorithms that they want you to do certain things. They kind of coax you to do these things in Facebook. And we don't necessarily follow that format. When somebody joins, someone in the group welcomes them. I belong to probably almost every Mopar group there is on Facebook. I don't see that very often in any of the groups, even the small groups that are very specific to one specific Mopar. Nobody like, hey, welcome, thanks for coming around, you'll enjoy us, talk to this guy about this if you're looking for that. We're like the new neighbor you just met when you move into town. We're like, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Hey, if you want a t-shirt, talk to Ron. If you want to get on an email, talk to Doug. If you got a car question, talk to me. If you need this, talk to Steve. If you need that, talk to Bill. And I think we're more of a community versus just a group of people that want to, I don't know how to word that. It's community, I think, is a better way to even put it.
Now, do you have a good variety of cars, or is it to one particular type of Mopar?
no, I would have to say it's probably split 50-50 or 60-40, old versus new. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff out there, but they built way more new stuff than they did the old. So
True.
you're going to get a lot of the new stuff, but there's a lot of people with old stuff that are involved in the car club.
How many members do you have today?
on Facebook or that we're actually in communication with. That's two different.
Let's start with Facebook first, because you told me something when we talked beforehand to set this up. How many people on Facebook?
There's roughly like 2,500, 2,600 people on our Facebook page.
And are they from all over the country or the world?
Just Ohio.
Just Ohio, okay. Now, the next question is what you asked, how many are actually involved personal-wise?
We've got 125 that we're sending emails to on a regular basis.
Okay. And the final question, and this is actually more impressive than what it may sound. How many people work actively with the club?
It depends on what part of the state we're in.
Okay.
Yeah, and it depends on what time of the day. It can be anywhere from 5 people to
15, 20, 28.
30. I mean, we had 25 or 26 tonight. Other gatherings we've had more or less. It depends on it depends on the event. It depends on the location of the event and what other things are going to affect it. Weather, other bigger events, stuff like that. So it varies, and since you don't have to be you're not required to attend 3 shows a year, or you have to come to a meeting every month, or
Or
we
a
don't-
work detail.
or a work
for an
detail.
event.
Yeah, so it does vary, but we always do have people involved. There's a few that are more involved than others, but that's because they got a house and kids and jobs and things to take care of, and some of the other people have more free time. And that's what we wanted to have the club be about.
It goes back to the area also. Like this dinner, most people here tonight are from northern Ohio, except for Frank and Maryland. They come from down around Mount Vernon.
And that's in central Ohio for the people
Yeah.
who don't know much about Ohio.
And then if we go to the Mopar Nets, that's in Columbus, central Ohio. We get a draw from about everywhere. But then when I go to the Holly Mo Party in Bowling Green, Kentucky, most of the people down there are coming from Cincinnati, Dayton area to be in the Mo Party. So it just depends on where we're at and what function we're doing to where we're getting people from. And we could have the same number of people, 15 to 30, but they're different people because we're in different parts of the state.
Now, the thing I also want to ask is how many people are involved day to day in administering the help with the club? In other words, is it just you 3?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
I didn't know if you had other members help you with other things, like on the Facebook page, ordering kinds of things or whatever, or help organize events when the 3 of you can't.
As of right now, it's the 3 of us. The goal is to expand that out and have different people in different parts of the state that are going to organize stuff, and we just come along for the ride.
Yeah, because what you told me, you said you had like 20 people who can help you at any time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I wanted to stress that. You hear these big numbers, 2,500 on Facebook and the like, but having 20 people help you with the day-to-day activities of the club, voluntarily being there, getting their hands dirty or whatever, 20 is a lot of people in today's world. And that I just wanted to stress that. It doesn't sound like much because they have 2,500 people on Facebook. That's a great number. They love the Ohio Mopar Group. Some of them do it just to click. But there's others that work, and to have 20 people being able to help at any time is a lot of people, and that's to be commended. So I just want to make sure I got that out because, yes, the 3 of you started the club, but you have others that will help you, and you have up to 20, and that's a lot more than what a lot of other places might have.
Yeah, that is very true. The amount of people that can participate in any group function. I've been in several committees with local communities and stuff like that, and you end up getting the same you get the same people that volunteer for the basketball thing and the Girl Scouts and all those different organizations that you have in your local community. It's always the same people. So it's nice that when we do stuff that we have a small group of people, but it is a different groups of people mixed in here and there that do help, and it's nice to have that. It's good to have the variety. We're very fortunate.
The club has been together full force for 15 months now. What's the future hold?
We don't know.
I don't think anybody can say.
Okay. Do you have plans? Or are you just taking this one day at a time, which is how I lead my life anyway, so.
We're doing it one day at a time, but we've discussed some things for future. We just have to have more discussion about it, some more plans about it, see how things will go.
This is a voluntary group, a lot on Facebook. Is it structured with dues or anything or not?
No.
No.
No due, okay. What is the process for people to join the Ohio Mopar Group?
Either on Facebook, they click join, and then there's a blurb on there that says if you want to be active and get emails weekly, to send your email address, your name, your city. I don't want your address, I want your city, a phone number that can receive texts, and your email address. Send that to me. I will put you in the system, send it over to Doug, and Doug sends out an email every Friday. And that lets you know where the car shows are, when they are, who's hosting, and all that good stuff. And then if there's something special that we as a group have decided that we would like to do as a group, he will highlight that in his email every Friday saying, hey, this is what we're planning on doing. And that's how that goes.
Out of the 2,500 Facebook members of the other local people, how many emails do you send out?
Last con, it was like 126 emails.
That's still pretty good, with a lot more to come. So
The future only, I mean, no one, none of us have a crystal ball, but I think if we keep the same philosophy and ideas that have gotten us this far, there's no reason why 125 can't maybe eventually turn into 150, 175, 250, or what have you. Because it still comes down to making personal relationships with people and developing bonds with people. No one wants to hang out with someone they don't like. I mean, that goes without saying. If you're genuine, if you're truly genuine, people will make an effort to come hang out with you.
yes, very true. So all right, you're planning your shows. They're not all Mopar events. These are events wherever they're having an event, correct?
Correct.
That you can plan on doing a get together for to go attend.
The emails are we refer to as the list. It's our list. And if you want to be on our list, that's when you forward your information to Ron. That list last year for the 2023 car show season, from the beginning of the year to the very last show, say November or whenever the season is over, pretty much, weather dictating. That list that was put out every Friday had somewhere in the neighborhood of 492 shows on it.
Wow.
That our people could choose to participate in. I mean, obviously with that many shows, you may have during the popular weekends, and predominantly, let's face it, our hobby takes place on Saturdays and Sundays. You could have a Saturday in June or July that had 15 to 20 events on it in and of itself. That's a lot to choose from. But again, I mean, the list was designed and the system was initiated, so if there was one particular event on that particular day, those members could respond to that email with that response going to everybody else on the email saying that, hey, I'm interested in going to the car show at XYZ city this coming Saturday. Does anybody else want to go with me? That goes out to those 125. They can respond. Everybody can see it. It's not like, I'm keeping a secret from you, because why would I do that? I mean, it serves no purpose. The idea is to get together and enjoy whatever is out there together. It's also recommended that if you're going to a particular show or event, that you respond to that email, let everybody on that email list know that something is in the works, and we could get together and drive in together as a group or what have you, or if I need to save a spot for you next to me once I get there, knowing that I'm going to get there before you. But it was also recommended that if you know that you're going, just put out a 2-sentence blurt on Facebook. Hey, Ron typed last night that he's thinking about going to the show at such and such this coming Saturday. Hey, is anybody else interested? You may get a reply, you may get 50 replies. And it's at that point where, the participants in that conversation can work out the finite details to themselves. Say you get 10 responses. Fantastic. Someone, usually the one who put forth the question, is pretty much like, I don't want to say the event leader, but they're the driving force behind going to this event. And at that point, it's nothing more than, hey, for everybody going to the show this weekend, let's meet at the shopping center at the corner of Main and First Street, which is only a couple blocks away from the venue, and we'll drive in together. Be there at 10 a.m. We're leaving the parking lot at 10:15.
You get your lists from where? How do you know when an event is going to happen?
Those lists come off of Facebook. They come off of other car show calendars. They come off of past events. But more importantly, a lot of it is generated by individual members of the group. They know there's a certain event that they go to religiously every year. It's a good event. They want to share that with other people. They get Ron the information, they get me the information, and it shows up on the list that's put out.
Someone wants to start a car show, and how would they get in touch with you to do that?
As an outside entity or like
yes,
a member of the group?
As an outside entity. Say, for instance, a church wants to start a car show for just community gathering or even for fundraising, and it's their first year. They want to spread the word. Can they get in touch with you to do that, to add it to their list?
If they want us to be like their advertisement for their event, yeah, that's not a problem. Let me quantify that first. If a church, for instance, is hosting an all Oldsmobile car show, we are not going to advertise for them.
Okay.
We are a Mopar Group.
Yes.
First and foremost. If it is a all brand car show, every make and model is welcome. Trucks, motorcycles, bicycles, fire trucks, whatever. No problem. It's everything, or it's Mopar, or Mopar first. It doesn't hurt to put an event on our list. If someone wants to partake of it, excellent. No one is telling them you can't go to XYZ event. We're not that structured. We don't need drama like that. There's no reason for it. Everyone is an adult for the most part in our group. We've got some people who are younger, but it's all personal choice. I mean, those groups are out there, or those events are out there for everybody to enjoy. I mean, something that I may think is fantastic, you may not think is that great of an event because of a past experience you had. Fantastic. I mean, I'll go to it when you maybe pick something else off the list to go do that weekend. That's okay. I mean, that's no hard feelings.
What I've liked about this conversation so far is, and we discussed this at the dinner tonight, Mike did, about the youth not getting into cars like they used to. And I just want to say that this conversation, I hope people will hear because now you gave somebody else the basis to start a car club and keep the ball rolling with automotive enthusiasm, because we need it very badly. And that's why I only start out with the first question, and then we just take it from there. Mopar Mike, Ron, Doug, is there anything you want to add before we conclude this?
One of the joys that I think we as a club enjoy, a lot of these smaller shows that we go to, there's not a lot of Chryslers, if any. So if we can get a group of 6 to 10, 12 people, 12 vehicles to go as a group, it's kind of neat to come rolling in with all these Mopars to a show that normally doesn't see any. And we do that quite often. We'll roll into a show that doesn't normally have Chryslers in it. It's got brand X, Y, and Z, but for some reason Chrysler isn't there, and we show up with a whole bunch. And that, to me, is kind of fun.
I know it is. I don't know how many events we've all been to where they've been very Mopar deficient, as I say.
And we accept all the Mopars. Not just the Chryslers, the Dodges, and the Plymouths. We accept all of the other Mopars that people don't think of. The Fargo, the DeSoto, AMCs, the Jeeps, the old and the new. And a lot of the groups, they want to be Spirit specific, which works out great for them. We wanted to be more like we're open and we're family. And that's how it seems. And we do get a diverse showing of vehicles when we do show up at some of these events.
That's one thing I notice about Chrysler is we are a divided group as far as the whole nation and Mopar Nation goes, because people only think of one thing: classic muscle, modern muscle. They don't think of, like what you said, the Fargos, DeSotos, the Eagles, and vehicles like that, the Maxwells. They don't think of anything like that, and they get sort of tired, or they don't even talk about cars from the 30s and 40s and even into the early 50s. And there's a lot of neat stuff that's out there. And
I think, just to expand on that, that is like anything that's generational. The generation that grew up with it appreciates it.
True.
You get so far removed from that generation that actually had firsthand and hands-on with that type of stuff, the less knowledge is passed on, and at a certain point, that's nothing more than an antique from a museum. That, for whatever reason, people like to look at it. Oh, look at that. That's neat. That's unique. That's weird. That's whatever. But they have no personal connection to it. And I think that's where and that's like any hobby that you get that lasts the test of time. It's generational.
I'll go along with that, because my two cars, 76 was 4 years after I graduated from high school. 71 when I was a junior in high school. And it does stem from that. But with what Mike is saying, it's good that you're bringing it all in so people can appreciate it all. So, any final thoughts before we call it a night? All right.
Thank you.
Doug Semon,
Thank you.
Ron Cook, Mopar Mike McMath. Thank you so much for joining me and doing this interview tonight. It's the Ohio Mopar Group. Facebook, any other social media, or there's just Facebook?
Facebook for now.
Facebook for now, okay. And so go to Facebook, search Ohio Mopar Group. I found it pretty easy. I know you can too. And then get in touch with them. They'd love to have you join their group. And hopefully you'll be able to join them with the show. Like I said, they're going to be, or like they said, they're going to be working on regional portions. Where we're at right now is in Northeast Ohio, but they want to go Northwest Ohio, Southeast, Southwest Ohio, Central Ohio, wherever they can find a good Mopar group. And they have members from all over the state of Ohio, so they can get together and put something together, and they can take these cars on some nice traveling through some Ohio highways. So Yeah.
We've actually had 4 or 5 members from close to Pittsburgh join our group and come over and join us on a couple of our runs.
Yep.
So we're not against having people from outside the state, but our primary focus is Ohio. But if you live right on the border and you want to participate, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, there's a club in Steubenville, Ohio. They're bordered right there with West Virginia, the Panhandle, and not that far away is Pennsylvania. So yes, it's not that far for them to come on over and have fun in Ohio. So, all right, Doug Semon, Ron Cook, Mopar Mike McMath, thank you so much for joining me here on the WaltPar Podcast. And good luck this season. Hope it gets busy for you with lots of people.
Thank you,
Thanks
Scott.
for having us.
You betcha. Take care now. Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you staying here. We appreciate it.
We were doing this, applause, because he kept holding up the applause.
I know.
And then he held up boobies.
No, you gotta be quiet.
Didn't I tell you that was a great interview? Hopefully it gives some of you out there an idea if you would like to start your own car club, the obstacles, the good, the bad, how you wanted to do things. They really did a great job thinking things out, and I think you'll agree with that. I want to thank again so much Ron Cook, Mopar Mike McMath, and Doug Semon, founders of the Ohio Mopar Group. They didn't let anything get in their way as far as frustrations. They thought, if we're going to do something, we want to do it right. We've got to do it ourselves, and they did, and they have a great following of people so far. They did have their own cruise. They went from Lodi, Ohio to Hartville and back. You know, women could, or other people could do shopping in Hartville and then eat somewhere there and then drive on back. And this is the whole point of the club. You've heard how they do things. And they keep a list of all kinds of shows. They can put you on an email list. So please, you know, if you're in Ohio, want to be part of a new club, maybe you could think of the Ohio Mopar Group. Well, how about it? We get into the event calendar, because one of the things they do is like to cruise around, and so do we. So how about if we get into the Mopar event calendar here on the WaltPar Podcast. As always, we do this in state alphabetical order, and within the state, if there's multiple events, we do those in chronological order. So to start off, we're in the great state of Alabama. June 8th, 2024, the Coleman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram presents Mopars by the Lake at Sportsman Lake Park in Coleman, Alabama. That's Cullman. Hosting club is Pentastar South. Pre-show to get together will be held June 7th at 806 Mark Street Southwest in Coleman. Early vehicle registration is $25. Day of the show is $30. Show hours are from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. For further information, call Robert 256-734-1064 or Brenda 256-590-2949. Flyer is also on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. In Alberta, Canada, billed as Western Canada's largest Mopar show, have no reason to deny that. Western Mopar Madness will be held at Rad Torque Raceway in Leduc County, Alberta, Canada, from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Hosting club is the Edmonton Mopar Association. Website for more information is emawmm.com. Great state of Arkansas. June 22nd, the 3rd annual Turpentine Creek Mopar Classic at the Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. tcmoparclassic.com for more information. The great state of Connecticut has 2 events, May 18th and 19th. The 44th annual Mopar Expo Show and Swap Meet at Papa's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in New Britain, Connecticut. From 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., hosting club is Mopars in Motion. Give Ralph a call at 860-416-1228. And on September 22nd, the 16th annual Innovators Show and Shine All Mopar Show at Artioli Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Enfield, that's Enfield, Connecticut. Show goes on from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. The hosting club again is Mopars in Motion. Again, contact Ralph at 416-1228. Coming up next weekend, as I'm recording this on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, as people would call it, May 10th and 11th, the 37th Annual Sunshine State Mopar Car Show and Swap Meet will be held at the Florida Horse Park in Ocala, Florida. Hosting associations is the Florida Mopar Association. Go to FloridaMoparAssociation.com for more information. The flyer is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. May 18th, the Chiefland Chrysler Dodge Jeep All Mopar Show in Chiefland, Florida in beautiful Levy County. From 8 a.m. until 3 p.m., the hosting club and co-sponsor is Mopars of Ocala. Phone 352-427-8382 to register your vehicle or for more further information. The flyer for that show as well is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. Mopars at the Beach will be held. This is in Daytona Beach, not Myrtle Beach. There's a separate show for that. We'll get to that when we get to South Carolina. October 1st to the 5th is Mopars at the Beach at Daytona Beach, not Myrtle Beach. Kathy Pearson Bridges moved to Florida to be closer to her family. The event is still in the planning stages, but if you follow their Facebook page, they do have a club page, and they did post that they have 2 headquarter hotels set up for this great event. She used to do Mopars at the Beach in Myrtle Beach. She wanted to be closer to family, again, like I said, and it's now down in Daytona Beach. I think there's a lot of great work for that, and let's hope that it's a success like it was up in Myrtle Beach. That's what's going on so far. Yes, Kathy Pearson Bridges, who did the show at Myrtle Beach, she started a Facebook page, Mopars at the Beach. She was able to keep that name, and so look that up, and then you can find out more information there as well. November 2nd and 3rd, I forgot there's a third event, Mopar's the Big Daddy at the Garlett's Drag Racing Museum in Ocala, Florida. 352-245-8661 for more information, or go to garlets.com in the great state of Illinois. If I can get my cursor to work, there we go. Come on, what's going on here? There we go. June 2nd, Mo Power Madness 2024 at Kazi Corner Hot Dogs, Beef, and Catering at 1250 75th Street, Downers Grove, Illinois. Hosting club, and you'll hear this throughout these events here, Chicagoland Mopar Connection. Go to their Facebook page, Chicagoland Mopar Club. Look under events for more contact information. The same is true with Mopars at the Park from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Fox Lake Veterans Memorial Park in Fox Lake, Illinois. Show vehicle entry fee is $20. Spectator admission is free. Again, the hosting club, Chicagoland Mopar Connection. On Facebook, Chicagoland Mopar Club. On July 20th, the Midwest Chargers Meet 2024. The Modern Muscle Meet 2024. Why am I not talking right tonight? And July 21st, the Belvedere Mopar Happening 2024. All events will be happening from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Boone County Fairgrounds in Belvedere, Illinois. Hosting club again is Chicagoland Mopar Connection. Go to their Facebook page, Chicagoland Mopar Club, under events for more contact information on each event. The great state of Indiana, June 14th through the 16th. The National Hemi Owners Association Meet and Reunion in Brownsburg, Indiana, near Indianapolis. I have no other information available, but there is a beginning flyer on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. The great state of Iowa, June 22nd, Mopar Max 2024 special Mopar race at Cedar Falls Motorsports Park in Cedar Falls, Iowa. The flyer is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. August 25th, Mopars on the Mississippi 2024 at the Dubuque County Fairgrounds, Dubuque, Iowa. The show goes on from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. Again, the hosting club is the Chicagoland Mopar Connection. Go to their Facebook page, Chicagoland Mopar Club, under events for more contact information. In the great state of Kansas, on June 15th, the 39th annual All Mopar meet at Sedgwick County Park in Wichita, Kansas, from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Car entry fee at the gate is $25. The hosting club is Wichita Area Mopar. Search Wichita Area Mopar on Facebook for more information. In Kentucky, August 31st, the 29th annual Southern Classic at Kentucky Dragway in Clay City, Kentucky will be going on. For further information, you can contact James Pendergrass or email moparsouthern@gmail.com. And also you can find out, I couldn't print out a flyer, but they did have something on, go to KentuckyDragway.com. They have a special page under, I forget what it was, but the tab down, you'll see it there, and they'll give you more information there as well. September 13th through the 15th, Holly Mo Party at Beach Bend Raceway Park, the big show, Bowling Green, Kentucky, moparty.com. The flyer is also on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. In the great state of Louisiana, July 24th through the 28th. It's the 38th annual National DeSoto Club Convention. Will be held in New Orleans. Go to desoto.org for more information. In the great state of Michigan, September 21st, 13th annual Michigan Mopar Muscle Club All Mopar Car Show and Swap Meet from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Hub Stadium in Auburn Hills, Michigan. The hosting club is the Michigan Mopar Muscle Car Club. MichiganMoparMuscle.com is their website, or email them showinfo@MichiganMoparMuscle.com. Flyer is also on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. In the great state of Minnesota, May 31st through June 2nd, it's the Midwest Mopars in the Park Car Show and Swap Meet at the Washington County Fairgrounds in Stillwater, Minnesota. The hosting club is Midwest Mopars. You can go to midwestmopars.middletwin.com or also moparsinthepark.com. And just so you know, and I will mention this again at the end of the podcast, I will be having an interview, my next podcast, with Wade Gerard. He's been a huge part of this club, you know, putting things together, getting it out on the internet so people know about it. We will talk about this show. We will also talk about the business he has that maybe might be able to help your club out. So join me on the next WaltPar podcast when I interview from the Midwest Mopars, Wade Gerard. It's a great interview. August 4th through the 9th, the Plymouth Owners Club National Meet and Greet will be in Brainerd, Minnesota. The hosting chapter will be the Tall Pines region. Go to PlymouthOwners.club for more information. The flyer, as well as on my Instagram account, search WaltPar Podcast. October 10th, Mopars in the Bay. This is in Mississippi. That's okay. Yep, that's in Mississippi. I don't know why I had that there. Okay. October 10th, Mopars in the Bay in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. For more information, dial 504-512-0367. The hosting club is the Big Easy Mopar Association. BigEasyMopar.org for more information. Now, while I have this classified under the state of Missouri because it's called the St. Louis Mopar Blast, it will be held at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois, which is a part of the St. Louis metropolitan area. This is hosted by Mopar Blast Incorporated, a registered 501c3 nonprofit. In the great state of Nebraska, it's the second annual H&H Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram All Mopar Show. It's at the dealership where it's located in Papillon, Nebraska. Go to their Facebook and Instagram pages for more information. The flyer is also on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. In the great state of New Jersey, June 8th, 2024, Califon's Mopar Show to benefit the Califon Veterans Memorial Park in Califon, New Jersey. CalifonCarshow.org for more information. The flyer as well is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. In the great state of New Mexico, June 15th, the 27th annual Mopar Muscle Club of New Mexico Mopar Fest at Haynes Park in Rio Rancho, New Mexico from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. nmmoparfest at yahoo.com for more information, or go to moparclub.com. Their flyer as well is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. The great state of New York, June 9th, the 14th annual Western New York Mopar Day All Mopar Gathering and Drag Racing Show at Lancaster Motorplex. Why am I not talking tonight? At the Lancaster Motorplex in Lancaster, New York. Hosting club is the Western New York Mopars. Make sure you check this club out when you go to Chrysler's at Carlisle, as well as the NYC Mopar Club. They are the ones that give you that 5-day reminder that the Carlisle is coming up. Less than 70 days till Carlisle. Flyer is on my Instagram account for this event. Search WaltPar Podcast. On October 13th, Mopars at the Valley Car Show and Swap Meet at Lebanon Valley Dragway. In East Chatham, New York, hosting club is Capital Area Mopars. Go to dragway.com for more information. In North Carolina, May 11th, it's the 38th annual Piedmont Mopar Fun Run at Farmington Dragway in Mocksville, North Carolina. Hosting club is the Piedmont Mopar Club. PiedmontMopar.com for more information. November 16th, Fall Mopars at the Rock at Rockingham Dragway, Rockingham, North Carolina. RockinghamDragway.com for more information. Now, one has most events, my home state of Ohio. Coming up May 11th on Saturday, the 9th annual Thomas Fest at Thomas Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in St. Clairsville, Ohio, along the Ohio River from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Now, the Raminator will be there and will start his show around 4 p.m. 740-695-0452 and ask for Robert Thomas for more information, or go to thomasautocenters.com. The flyer is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. June 8th, the 25th annual St. Mary's Mopar or No Car Cruise-In at St. Mary's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in St. Mary's, Ohio. Registration begins at 9 a.m. The cruise-in starts at 2 p.m. Contact Brian Engel at 419-305-6552. The following day, on Sunday, June 9th, the 17th annual Mopars at Junction Auto Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Chardon, Ohio. Show car fee is $25 in advance, $30 the day of the show. Swap meet space, 20 by 20s, are $30. Rain date will be June 16th. Contact Mike during business hours at 440-286-6161 or 440-946-5577. After hours, you can dial 440-221-2523. The flyer for this show is also on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. June 22nd, it's the All Mopar Show at Plaza Restaurant at 491 South Main Street, Mount Victory, Ohio. August 2nd through the 4th, Mopars at 42 at Dragway 42. Also, that same weekend, that same area, the same event, our annual 33rd annual Mid-Ohio Mopar Show will be a part of Mopar Madness at 42. It will be held on August 3rd with a rain date of August 4th. The flyer is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. We hope to see you there. You know, we host that now. It goes along very good there. People can watch the drag races who have a show car. In between races, the racers come down and look at the good cars. So it's a great event. Make sure you check us out. August 9th through 11th, the 43rd annual Nationals at National Trail Raceway in Kirkersville, Ohio, east of Columbus, right on US 40. Moparnats.org. I'm not sure if the website is up yet, but they did provide a flyer on Facebook, so it's good to go there. I got that. But they are still working on fixing glitches on their website. The flyer for the Mopar Nationals is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. September 15th, the annual Chrysler Classic Car Club of Toledo Car Show will be held at Yark Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on the Central Avenue Strip in Toledo, Ohio. More information to follow. And finally, the final event in Ohio, September 19th through the 22nd, it's the second annual World of Mopar at Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. Now in Oklahoma, May 10th through the 12th. All this is happening in the city of Bristow, Oklahoma. It's the 4th annual Southern Plains Mopar Fest is coming up this coming weekend, hosted by the city of Bristow. And it's the Bristow, Oklahoma Historical Society who's putting this on. And it's hosted by the city of Bristow, Oklahoma. SouthernPlainsMoparFest.com for more information. In the great province of Ontario, Canada, October 17th and the 18th, Mopar Fest, Canada's largest all-Mopar car show, will be happening at 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. each day at 251 Jacob Street in New Hamburg, Ontario, Canada. MoparFest.com for more information. August 6th through the 11th, Walter P. Chrysler Club National Meet will be held in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. ChryslerClub.org for more information. August 13th through the 16th, the 59th annual Airflow Club National Meet at the Four Points Sheraton by Marriott in London, Ontario, Canada. Airflowclub.com for more information. And on August 24th, 2024, the second annual Motor City Mopar Show at Motor City Chrysler in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, hosted by Windsor Area Mopar Muscle Club. For more details, look on the WAAMM Facebook page under events. The great state of Oregon, August 4th, the 39th annual Woodburn Dragstrip Mopar Nationals at Woodburn Dragstrip, Woodburn, Oregon. Go to woodburndragstrip.com or call 541-746-4620. Flyer again is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. August 8th through the 10th, the Walter P. Chrysler Pacific Northwest Regional Meet will be held in Woodburn, Oregon. Email for more information, go to d.duthie, that's D-U-T-H-I-E, at comcast.net. The great state of Pennsylvania, June 2nd, it's the 37th annual Lake Erie Tri-State Mopar Club All Mopar Car Show and Swap Meet from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Albion County Fairgrounds, Albion, Pennsylvania. Hosting club is Lake Erie Tri-State Mopar Club. Go to Let's, that's capital L, capital E, capital T, capital S, Let's Mopar Club on Facebook, or you can email them letsmoparclub@yahoo.com. Their flyer is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. The All Mopar Show, June 23rd, hosted by the Lansdale Auto Group and Miss Mopar, from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Lansdale Auto Group in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. Registration opens up at 9 a.m. allmoparshow.com for more information. Their flyer as well is on my Instagram account. Search WaltPar Podcast. The big one, Chrysler Carlisle Nationals at Carlisle Fairgrounds, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Carlisle Events. The event is July 12th through the 14th. In South Carolina, October 16th through the 19th. Mopar Fever in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This takes the place of what Kathy Pearson Bridges is doing in Daytona when she moved to Florida. Michael Stark and others have taken over to keep the event going as well under a different name in South Carolina. It's called Mopar Fever. Go to 8F03mopars.org or search 8F03 Mopars on their Facebook page. The great state of South Dakota, August 24th. Mopar Rama 2024 is back at Billion Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The hosting club is Sioux Empire Mopars. The great state of Tennessee, September 28th, the 35th annual Music City Mopar Club Show at Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon, Tennessee. The hosting club will be the Music City Mopar Club. You can look up at their website, musiccitymoparclub.com, or phone them at 615-972-1056. in the great state of Virginia, August 31st. It's the Mopars in the Valley, powered by Berglund Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Salem Civic Center. $20 pre-registration, $30 day of the show. Rain date will be September 1st, 2024. This show will be hosted by David Simmons and the Roanoke Valley Mopar Club. Search Roanoke, that's Roanoke, Valley Mopar Club on Facebook. The great state of Washington, July 28, 2024. It's the 19th annual Mopar Magic All Mopar Car Show and Shine at Peninsula High School, Gig Harbor, Washington. AllAroundMopars.com for more information. For the Modern Street Hemi Shootout Series, we're winding this down. There's 3 events left. We got the first 2 done already. The third stop is at Cecil County Dragway in Rising Sun, Maryland. That's on June 22nd, October 16th and 17th. The fourth stop would be the part of the Woodward Dream Cruise weekend in Detroit, Michigan, and October 18th through the 19th. The fifth and final stop will be at Maryland International Raceway in Mechanicsville, Maryland. Now, please keep in mind, I give you all these great events, but please, prior to going to any of these, no matter how big or small they are, if you're going to any of these events, please make sure to contact the event people to make sure the show is still going on, so that you don't get your car out, get it shined up, whatever. You drive over there and find out there's nothing. So please give them a call. Double check their social media. Maybe that could give you an advance notice as well. But please check before you go. Well, that's it for the WaltPar Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to Ron and Glon, Jonathan Ramsey, and Joel Stocksdale and Chris Teague of Autoblog, Jared B. and Robert S. Miller, Mopar Insiders, Patrick Rawl and David Zatz of Stel Power, as well as Automotive News and Ward's Automotive for their contributions with episode 10 of the WaltPar Podcast. Got to thank all the people. Last I checked, there was 49 followers and the 48 who like me on Facebook. There's 57 followers on X, 163 followers on Instagram, and 25 on Threads. Thank you so much, and you can join me as well. Search WaltPar Podcast on all of them. I've sent a lot of messages out. I've got to start learning to spread my business cards out. I didn't do it at the Mid-Ohio Mopar show. I felt that I shouldn't be advertising when I'm working the show, but please, whatever you do, I'm planning on being at Thomas Fest if it doesn't rain. That would be this coming weekend, May 9th, I think it is, May 9th, I think it is, that I will be there. Actually, May 11th, I think it is, whatever that second Saturday is. If it's not raining, I will be down in St. Clairsville, Ohio. I'm planning on going to the Mopars at Junction show, so I hope you'll see me there. Again, please let your fellow Mopar fans, lovers, enthusiasts everywhere, please tell them about the WaltPar Podcast. I would appreciate it very much. As you listen to the WaltPar Podcast, whatever you listen on, please subscribe, get reminders for when the next podcast is coming up, and give me a great review if you can. I'd love to hear from you. You can also email me, WaltParPodcast@AOL.com, or you can snail mail me at WaltPar Podcast, P.O. Box, or at Auto Catawba LLC, at P.O. Box 455, Apple Creek, Ohio. That's 2 words, Apple Creek, Ohio, 44606. Please do not forget to check out the other Mopar-related podcast, the Dodge Pod. Talk about Dodge trucks. T-N-T podcast with Tara Graves and Tina Bogus. And what is billed as the best Mopar podcast on planet Earth, talking Mopars with the Mopar hunter himself, Chris Albrecht. Now, please, before I go, and I will repeat this every time, whenever you go to a car show or a cruise in, find a Mopar that is totally different than yours and say hello to them. Because we are a fractured group. We like to stick with what we have and only socialize with those people who have those cars. Please find someone different to talk to and find out about their Mopar, and hopefully they'll want to ask about yours too. So thank you so much for joining me and listening to the WaltPar Podcast. I hope you'll join me here next time. Like I said, I'm going to be talking to Wade Gerard. He has middletwin.com, which has a software package for club organizations. We're going to talk about that. And we will also be talking about Mopars in the Park, which is Memorial Day weekend. So I have to get this podcast out soon. Probably next weekend I will get that out. I'm doing this on May 5th right now it's about 11 o'clock right now. So please, as Mike Bonadonna of the Citrus County Mopar Club in Citrus County, Florida says, keep those highways beautiful, drive your Mopars, uniting all generations and type of Mopar fans, lovers, and enthusiasts everywhere, from Walter P. Chrysler to today's Mopar and beyond. This has been the WaltPar Podcast. Take care, everyone. The WaltPar Podcast is a production of Auto Catawba LLC. Take care, everyone.